constantly asking yourself, like, am I doing a good job? Is this the right way to be headed? Am I doing things properly? Am I considered an adult yet? You know, we're constantly asking ourselves these questions, and it's not about the age, it's about where we are in life. And one thing we have to learn is that we have to become our biggest cheerleaders. We have to be the number one people encouraging ourselves. And I'm telling you this because as I built a brand that has been able to reach internationally, currently have a Facebook group with over 80 plus countries. It was a desire in my heart, but it would never happen if I didn't believe in myself. And I heard recently that somebody said that, oh, it's a sense of ego. It's ego to encourage yourself and just always constantly cheer yourself on, but it's not. Because if you're not cheering yourself on, your brain can only think one thought at a time. So if it's not in the direction of where you want it to go, it's working against you. It's working against you. Your brain works against you. And chances are your thoughts are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are the product of the people that you have surrounded yourself with, and that is becoming the thoughts that you are having today. So if you don't work on your brain and tend your thoughts, then your thoughts will produce a person that you really aren't, but you will become the person that other people have wanted you to become, or what life has caused you to become, but not necessarily what you were formed in the womb to become. So I encourage you guys, write out your vision, write out your dream, begin to believe in yourself and raise your self-esteem. Because nobody really wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the shift in self-esteem that is needed. No one wants to talk about the struggle that people battle. ¿Cómo estás? Oh, muy bien, gracias. Hold on, let me 1 second. Bum, 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 bum. Perfect. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to do the dirty work of believing in themselves, and nobody can believe in you for you, because it doesn't matter how much people try to encourage you. If you don't believe in yourself, it's like I said, like if the mind isn't in that direction, the body can't go where the mind doesn't want to go. So other people can believe in your dream for you, but if your own brain doesn't believe in your dreams, your own mind isn't believing in the passions of what is set out for your life, then you won't be able to walk out in those passions until you have that moment of truth with yourself and saying, hey, I am amazing. I will accomplish great things. You have to be able to cause that shift internally. You have to begin to cause a movement. And guys, if this is speaking to you, invite your friends to hear this, because these words are not spoken on a constant. People always talk about their success, but they don't talk about the way to start achieving it. And one of the key ways of achieving success is believing that you can be successful. So many people are flattering themselves and showing their fancy cars and their wallets and their fancy purses and everything, but not enough people are telling others that you too can achieve success if you have that success moment. The key to success is encouraging yourself. Why? Because if all your brain energy and power is used to discourage you, how far do you expect to go in life? And the reason why people gossip and they're bitter and they stay within their patterns of toxicity is because they are discouraged themselves. They don't really truthfully believe that they're going to be headed anywhere that is great, so they choose to bring people down. When people bring you down, it's because they see you heading somewhere else and they don't want to go up, so they bring you down. Whenever you feel that someone is bringing you down, someone's words are toxic and they're just piercing through you, it's because they see potential in you that's causing them to feel uncomfortable because they're not reaching their potential. But what it is that you have to operate in a different mind, that you are constantly thinking that I am gonna do incredible things. I am an incredible individual. I am a work in progress, but I'm still a masterpiece. Like, you have to shift that conversation inside yourself in order to be able to flow and cause a movement outside of yourself. If you don't, then what are you doing with your life? Just constantly making yourself feel inadequate, constantly making yourself feel like you should be doing better, beating yourself up, telling yourself you're irresponsible, you're not good at anything, you suck, like like life is just going to be hard forever. You're always going to struggle with your bills, and everything's just going to be a disaster, and your life is a disaster, and you're a hot mess, and you can't get it together. We don't understand that if we're not encouraging ourselves, those are the words that come towards us. Those are the words that we begin to believe. How's it going, guys? Shendi, Kaleo, my brother from the Philippines, Jennifer, Carla from Portugal. Awesome. If you guys want to share what country you're in, you can do that as well. I kind of know where you guys are from, but not all of you. But yeah, guys, I'm here to empower you, change the conversation you're having in your mind, help you understand that you have the key to success within you. It's not in the job. It's not in anything outside of you. It's all within you. Your ideas matter. That's what matters more than anything else, is your ideas. And we're placed into these systems that we feel like our ideas don't matter because when we say what we want to say, they don't care. They're like, yeah, that sounds great. We'll write it down, and they forget about it. Your ideas matter, and your ideas are what's going to provide the breakthrough in your life. When you begin to sit down and really reflect, as opposed to just respond to everything happening in your life, and you begin to say, hey, what is it that's going on? How can I cause this movement? And that's how it starts to happen. Saludos desde Colombia. Gracias, gracias. But a lot of you are lacking motivation because every time you're motivated, it's just not good enough. Every time that you're pushing yourself to greatness, it's just not good enough. It's just not getting the approval and the applause that you're applause. The Bible says that the heart knows its own bitterness, but it also knows its own joy. Only you know how proud of yourself you feel when you accomplish things, when you wake up earlier, when you start making more money. You can't wait on other people to applaud you for your breakthroughs. It's your breakthrough. Pay attention to that. Maybe the last time you lost weight, you didn't get all the recognition that you wanted, so you just let yourself put back on the weight. Or maybe when you went to school and you got your degree and you got your job, but then people didn't really celebrate you. Forget about the celebration from others and focus on the celebration of you. When was the last time you celebrated you? When was the last time you sat down with yourself and you said, wow, I'm proud of myself. Good job. Good job. Because a lot of times we have so much difficulty just telling ourselves good job because we're waiting on something. And we feel like if we're not performing at a certain standard, then we have no right or reason to be proud of ourselves. But that's wrong. Because every day that you're given, every 24 hours that you're given is a blessing. So you need to start learning to encourage yourself within the blessed 24 hours, because if not, all you did was discourage yourself. And your brain power, the energy in your mind, is supposed to work in your favor, not against you. And every moment that you are discouraging yourself and calling yourself a loser and telling yourself that you're a deadbeat and that you're a horrible person and that you can't get anything right, every time you're doing that, you're destroying your identity, you're destroying yourself, you're creating toxic patterns in your brain. And realize those are not new thoughts. The thoughts you think today came from yesterday. So unless you want to stay in your yesterday and in your past, and you want to continue to feel discouraged and stay in your self-loathing cycle of how your life sucks and how it's horrible, it's because of the way that you think. You are because you are what you think. You are a product of your thoughts. All of you. You are a product of your thoughts. No seed. An apple seed cannot produce an orange tree. An apple seed produces apple tree. You are a product of the seeds of the thoughts that you have believed. And if you don't get this deeper understanding, then your life will always be discouraging. Because you won't understand that these words, it's not necessarily what people have said about you. It's about what you believed that people have said about you as true. When people call you a loser, it shouldn't affect you if you didn't believe already that you were a loser. You see, it's only when the words that connect to the pains that we already have, that is what causes the issue. And we have to realize that these things go deeper. These things go deeper. It goes back into childhood, kindergarten, all those times when our brains were being formed and it was malleable and so easy to move around our thoughts. Well, we became a product of that. You see, this is what I do with my clients. I'm a mindset coach as well as a health and fitness coach. I deal with the mind because the body can't go anywhere that the mind isn't set to go. You can't take your body anywhere that your mind is not ready to go. So what I've learned is that you can't take your life anywhere that your mind doesn't believe is possible. You can't accomplish your dreams until you believe that your dreams are possible. Because opportunities are going to come to you and you're going to reject them. The right relationships are going to come to you and you're going to reject them because your mind is somewhere else. And when you start to get your mind right, the word mindset, set your mind, get it right, get your thoughts right, get your life right through believing in yourself, through encouraging yourself. For those of you who believe in God, and ask yourself, like, would God speak to you the way that you speak to yourself? If you had a child, would you speak to your child the way that you speak to yourself? You see, get to understand the communication of self, because the communication you have is also becoming destruction to your bones. The way that you're having a conversation with yourself is also what's causing you to destroy your life, because you are so hard on yourself and you are so negative. Do away with other people's thoughts and perceptions of you and ask yourself how you want to begin to speak to yourself, because based off of how you speak to yourself is what you will produce. If the conversation you have with yourself is toxic, the life that you live will be toxic. If you're constantly calling yourself a failure, the life that you live will be a life of failure. You have to begin to call yourself a champion, even if you haven't won the championship yet. Because you need to call into being what you want to become, not what you feel you already are. Because what you focus on, you feed, and what you feed grows. And even by uttering these words of, wow, I suck, or man, I'm so stupid, I look so ugly, all those things that you're speaking, you are becoming. You are becoming literally a product of what you are speaking. And if you don't cause these shifts to begin to take place, then life is going to continue passing you by, and you're going to continue asking yourself, why am I so critical with myself? You're critical with yourself because you believe the thoughts that other people have said about you. You've taken on an identity that never belonged to you. You've taken on a self that maybe at one point of your vulnerability you may have indulged in, but it doesn't mean that necessarily defined you. Maybe you did bad in school, but that doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. Maybe you were in the wrong class. Maybe you failed, but it might be because you weren't meant to be successful in that area. You're meant to be successful in something else. And if you was with your subconscious mind, it uses less brain power by just going back into yesterday's thoughts, yesterday's patterns, the patterns of what other people have said about you, the belief system of discouraging yourself instead of encouraging yourself. Yes, it takes work, but so does working out. And you won't get the physique that you want unless you do the work. Well, you won't get the life that you want unless you do the mental work. You won't get the breakthrough you want in your business. follow, the groups that you're engaged in, the places you go, your family, the way you were raised as a child, the teachers you had, all of that, your brain is a product of everything that you have absorbed, and then you have created a product within it. And unfortunately, majority of your thoughts are negative. That's just how the human brain is. It's safer to be negative than to use energy, because one of the greatest problems within the US and across the world, I believe, is people don't think. It's so hard to think. It's so hard to reflect. It's so hard to look at ourselves and say, hey, why do I beat myself up? Why do I wake up in the morning and call myself ugly? Why do I wake up in the morning and think that I'm worthless? Why do I wake up in the morning and feel like I have to prove myself to people? Why can't I just accept that I'm awesome? When did I stop believing I was awesome? You see, when you begin to do that work, it's really uncomfortable because it takes you to roots that are deeper than you could have imagined. But it begins to cause a breakthrough. You must break through the ground and break through the roots. And yes, it causes getting growth. And until you break the roots, you're going to allow growth in areas that you no longer want to grow. And it starts with this conversation right here. This video we're having, this moment we're having, this breakthrough we're taking place, this is for you. This is your moment. This is your moment to break the roots of your life and to start growing the tree that you desire to grow in your life. This is the moment to let go of every toxic word that was ever spoken to you, every toxic relationship that made you feel inferior, every toxic moment that made you feel less worth. You are of high value. You are more valuable than rubies and gold. A human being is at a value, at a price that people can never comprehend, because beyond the physical state, there's something called the soul, and there's nothing more beautiful and valuable than a soul. You are a soul, and you know what? That your soul's been tampered with by the words and the hurt and the pain and the things that you've gone through. And now your soul is working against you because it has become a sponge to your environment. You need to start uprooting and paying attention. I feel it in my heart so heavy. You need to pay attention to your environment, because your environment is constructing a destructive version of you, and you will become toxic to others until you do the work on yourself. So don't just think about yourself, but think about your children. Think about their children. Think about the people you meet. Think about the business. Think about your clients. Think about everything. Everything will be formed off of an identity that doesn't belong to you, as long as you don't do the your life. All right, guys, you could thrive. You could thrive. You could easily thrive if you allow yourself to thrive, if you allow yourself to strip yourself of the identity that this world has given you and to start building off of the person you know that you are. The Bible says nobody knows their own joy. Nobody can understand their own sadness. My joy in accomplishing things, you can never comprehend. But the same thing, my sadness in not accomplishing things, my sadness in things that have happened, none of you could comprehend, and vice versa. And the beauty of that is that's our own responsibility. Your What's up? I see people clapping. I see 100s. I see claps. I see 100s. I see claps. I see 100s. Let me see. Awesome. Guys, this is your year. This is your season. This is your moment. This is your weekend. This is your weekend. This is your weekend. And I want you to understand is that even though I have been through many different issues of people trying to construct an identity that never belonged to me, I've had to strip myself from that and become the identity of the best version of myself daily. And that's what I desire to happen for you. I desire for you to begin to do the work in yourself and to build yourself at a rate that you never thought possible by paying attention and disciplining your thoughts. Discipline your thoughts. Once you could discipline your thoughts, you will discipline your life. But you start with your thoughts. You start with already believing that you are capable of great things. If you can't even believe that you're capable of great things, you will never accomplish great things, because anytime there's an opportunity to do something great, you will shut it down because you already think that you're a failure. You are not a loser. You are not a loser. Take that thought out of your mind. It doesn't matter what other people have. Last relationship or the person you're with now is calling you. It doesn't matter what they say about you. You are not a loser. No one was designed to lose. You just haven't hit the mark yet. It doesn't mean that you're a loser. Why are we so easy with children when they walk and they fall and they walk and they fall? A child on a bike, when there's no training wheels, they ride and they fall, they ride and they fall. But an adult tries and attempts to grow. An adult tries to build a business. An adult tries to make something of their lives. And everyone has criticism. Everyone has something to say about the adult trying to break out of the flow of the norm. An adult get them. If people are not speaking anything into your life that's going to construct you into the version that you want to be, then you need to start silencing them from your life. Because you need to start being good keepers of your soul. Pay attention to the music you listen to. If the artist that you listen to is depressed, don't question why you feel depressed. And if the people that you're listening to are not chasing their dream, don't ask yourself why your dream isn't happening. Pay attention to that. We are a product of our soul, our mind, our will, and our emotions. And making you feel like you're worthless, making you think you're not intelligent, making you feel powerless, making you feel like there's nothing great about you. That's an attack on your soul. That's not just an attack on you, that's your soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. But if your will is to get up and conquer and to shift atmospheres, and your mind is right, your mindset, you're telling yourself, I am a champion, I'm a warrior, I'm going to accomplish great things. When your mind is set on things like that, then you do accomplish great things. But you have to begin to cause that shift internally. This is your moment. This is your weekend. This is your summer. This is your day. Don't wait another moment to start doing the work necessary. Start asking yourself, like, what are the thoughts? What are the pains? And I know it hurts. Like, is your soul exactly what is your mind, your will, or your emotions aligned with who you want to become? Or are they just aligned with who you've experienced? You're a sponge. You're a sponge. Everything you've heard, everything you've seen, everything you've felt, you're still experiencing. Because your brain is lazy. So even sitting through this video and having to listen to what I have to say, it's exhausting. Because it makes you think in a different way than you're used to thinking. When someone addresses you in a way that you've never been addressed, it's uncomfortable. You know why? Because it causes you to think. It causes you to reflect. When someone asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, it's uncomfortable. Hurt me and abuse me. Why? Not who, what, no, why? What are the roots of these issues? And when you begin to go to the roots, you begin to see that life is actually a lot easier to understand than it is difficult. But what makes it difficult is we block out the truth from ourselves. And I promise you, you can go deep into the roots of childhood or deep into the roots of just being a child and your innocence and how it gets severed when people start to discourage you, or people start to lie to you, or people start to form you into something that you never were. Go back into that little kid who was super excited about their day, who every day was an adventure. You know, adults are miserable because their childhood was But then when we become adults and we try to thrive and we try to do awesome things, people tell us that we're crazy. People tell us that we're just seeking attention. People tell us that, oh, this is a weird person. Oh, he's trying too hard. Oh, he's a dreamer. He has his head in the clouds. Well, I'd rather my head be in the clouds than my head be in all the stuff that your head is in that is destroying you. Be a keeper of your soul. Be careful of what you're focusing on and what has you. Pay attention to what you've been listening to. Pay attention to who's been speaking into you. Pay attention to what you're believing. It's not always good. It's not. And if your life isn't looking good, it's a product of what you've allowed into your soul. Last week, I was working with the Miami Give Back. Identity, who you are, not who other people are calling you to be. Yes, you may battle with an addiction, but that doesn't mean to call yourself an addict. And I'm so against that. Someone's like, oh, once an addict, always an addict. I'm so against that, because then you're always going to speak an identity that you no longer want to be a part of. And when you tell somebody to just call themselves an addict, or you tell somebody to just call themselves what they've been a part of, then you're telling them to keep that name right there at that moment. When you get into a new marriage, you don't keep your ex-husband's last name. So why do you have to keep your addiction in every part? Do is criticize you. Well, guess what? Your brain is like your best friend. That's what's speaking into you all day. So if you wouldn't have a best friend that criticizes you, some of you probably do have best friends that criticize you, which you need to stop. But if you wouldn't have somebody sitting next to you criticizing you all day, why do you let your own mind do it? Do you forget that you have the power of your own thoughts? That you are the one that is in control of your mind? No, it's not the devil, and it's not God, it's you. You give power to these things, but you need to understand that you are the one in charge. Will to work in your favor by starting with, I will encourage myself more. It's baby steps, but it's the steps necessary to start taking place. I will encourage myself. Just start with that. I will believe in myself. I will encourage myself. I will believe in myself. It doesn't matter if nobody believes in you. It doesn't matter if nobody's encouraging. What are you going to do for you? Because people I can't jump in the phone right now and whoever you are, wherever you are, and force you to do anything. But you can look me in the eyes and you can see if what I'm telling you is true. You will transform this summer if you allow yourself to. If you desire to. If you desire to make this the greatest summer of your keep moving, keep thriving, keep growing, keep working on yourself. Create a healthy relationship with yourself. No one talks about that. Everyone talks about the healthy relationship with other stuff. Healthy food, healthy marriage. What about healthy self, healthy brain? It's so much easier to just take a pill and solve your problems than to really sit down and work on your problems. Be cautious of that. Go deep. Go in the dirt. Go dark. When you're uprooting things, you got to go in the dirt and get your hands dirty. And the dirt yourself. When did you start discouraging yourself? When did your mind shift from being your greatest cheerleader to becoming your greatest criticism? Because it's not constructive. When the brain was meant to be constructive, the brain was meant to take you into the direction of where your calling is. But life is destructive. Wise counsel and you discourage yourself, your thoughts were the most important because your thoughts ended up becoming the determining factor of what ends up flowing from that. So everybody can call you intelligent. Everybody can tell you that you're amazing. But if you feel that you're a worthless piece of crap, then your thoughts are most important because that is what you hear. All you can hear is your own thoughts all day. What I'm saying right now could be very important. But if you don't start to believe it in yourself, my thoughts mean nothing. Because what you take out of this is here. So that's when you have to choose when you have to become a sponge. Do you want to absorb wisdom or do you want to absorb life? And I speak into you these things because I know that we are all 100% of human beings on this earth are critical with themselves. All 100%. Even the ones that have the top success and everything right with themselves. Our brains are like that. To go. It's so much easier to be discouraged by hurtful words than it is to be encouraged by healing words. It's just how we are. We live in a fallen world. It's just so easy. It's so easy to get our identity from somebody than it is to work on ourselves and figure out who we truly are. It's so easy to allow trauma to victimize us than for us to come out victorious. It's easy. It's easy to just sit in our pain than it is to work on our healing. It's so easy. But the thing is if life is just going to be easy, then it's not going to be worth living. And you're going to start heading in the direction that is necessary. When you begin to cause the shifts in your life that are necessary, you will head in the necessary direction for your next destination. But you can't get to that spot until you work on this spot. You got to work on your heart. You got to work on your mind. You got to work on your life. And everything flows from each other. Your brain was designed to take you into the strategy that's necessary for your. Your brain is working against you and discouraging you and creating fear and panic every time you try to head into the desired future. And that's why people don't chase their dreams. You lack motivation because you lack understanding of the power and the abilities that you have inside of you. It's not that you're lazy. You lack motivation because you've listened to too many people discourage you that you have begun to believe it. It's not because you're lazy. Believing you're lazy is simple, but searching for the roots of what has caused the laziness is difficult. Searching for the roots of what has discouraged you is difficult because it causes a retrospect. And like I said, people don't think. It's so much easier to just respond. It's so much easier when people call us lazy to just be lazy, as opposed to say, why am I not? Stopped you from going all in, making this your greatest summer? Because I'm going to need you to not allow whatever it was that stopped you to get out of your way and to go forward. Because life is limited and time is limited. And this life you have, you're not guaranteed 100 years. You don't have a lot of time to get the things done. But start getting to it. And start believing that you are capable of doing it. And if other people don't agree with your ideas, go somewhere else and make your ideas happen. Because that's something else that's very important. Not everyone's going to agree to your ideas. Well, then go somewhere where they do. Connect yourself with people who do agree with the version of yourself that you want to become. Not the people who agree with the past become the change that you want to see in this world. And if you don't just want to be a copycat of someone who just destroys other people's minds, destroys other people's dreams like the rest of this world does, then you need to become the person who believes in themselves and chases their dreams. Because you simply not chasing your dream is adding to the fact that dreams don't exist. You simply discouraging yourself is adding to the fact that a motivated person does not exist. If you feel like your atmosphere is just draining and fully forgive those words and remind yourself that those words don't belong to you. Remind yourself that the words that other people said about you don't belong to you. That was their hurt, their pain, their perception. Nothing to do with you. When you can do away with that and forgive those words, then you can build from that. But as long as you hold on to the pain for ego reasons, like I would never let this go, you're right, you won't. And you'll become it. The pride of life of not wanting to let go of pain is becoming the pain. So, this was deep. Some people don't even know things are going on because people don't want to do the work on themselves. It's so much easier to... It's easy to destroy than it is to build. So it's so much easier to criticize than to actually give constructive criticism, because constructive criticism takes thought. Criticism just takes stupidity. It's so easy to discourage your child or discourage your friend or discourage anybody than to really work on building them up. But we need to realize the after effect of it. If you guys have a friend that's chasing their dreams and you've discouraged them, I want you to apologize to them, and I bet you it'll cause a huge impact in their life. Because people who are choosing to excel in life, it does help when people encourage through the process, because they're already battling their own mind. They don't need to battle their friends and their family along with it. When you're choosing to go against the force of gravity, the law of lift is a huge force, needs to go above the force of gravity. Choosing to grow and excel in life takes a lot of force and momentum. And when you have people around you that discourage that force and momentum, they will either separate themselves from you or listen to you. And by listening to you, they stay where you want them to stay. This is the season of breaking through. This is the season of breaking paradigms. This is the season of breaking ancestral roots. Breaking ancestral roots. The lies that your family and your ancestors have believed about themselves, about the economy, about finances, about that money is only for the drug dealers, or that money and wealth is only for people who do crooked things, or that only if you win the lotto. All those lies and belief systems that you are like, no, I'm going to be a top earner. I'm going to make hundreds of thousands a month. I'm going to grow my finances. Those of you who believe that, then you're going to start uprooting and breaking those lies and that belief system and that unhealthy relationship with finances, and begin to invest instead of spend. You begin to invest instead of spend. You begin to cause shifts in what is important and what is not. Instead of just responding to stimulus like everybody else does, who just lets the world think for them, you're going to begin to think. But by doing that, it's because you're going to begin to understand who you are and how important it is to be a keeper of your soul and pay attention to who you're listening to and where your mind is headed. Because who you listen to, you learn from. Who you listen to, you learn from. So whoever you're really listening to right now in life, You are becoming a product of their words. So if you're listening to someone who's not really taking you where you want to go, you need to stop paying attention. You need to change classes. You need to get an exemption from that class and get the hell out of there. It doesn't mean you completely, if it's a family member, it doesn't mean you never talk to them again, but you start closing an ear. If they're not living their dream, you have to start closing your ear. Close your ear. If people are not where you want to go, close your ear. At least specifically in that area. If you're trying to have a healthy marriage and you're speaking to someone who's never had a healthy marriage and they're giving you input into your marriage, close your ear. If you want to be a top whatever, a top actress, a top artist, and you're speaking to someone who never chased their dream, close your ear. Be cautious of that. People can only produce what they are. And with people who don't chase their dream, they remain in bitterness. I don't care what anybody says. If you're not waking up with passion in your heart, you're waking up with bitterness. Because passion is what fuels the blood through your veins. And the reason I believe so many people are sick and miserable is because they lack vision, they lack passion, they lack a thrive within their day. And if you sit there and you listen to the people that are not going anywhere in life, you are going to end up going nowhere in life with them. Because who you're listening to, you learn from. And the crazy thing is that when we are in an adventure to discover ourselves, our ears are open to listen to what do they say. But the crazy thing is our ears need to be open to our hearts. What is it that makes us cry? What is it that makes us laugh? What is it that we're passionate about? That's where you're going to start getting the answers. Other people's perception of you is not your reality. And what other people say about you doesn't really matter. What are you saying about you? That's what matters. Because if you have to wake up every day to have an encouraging message from somebody else in order to go about your life, then your life's going to be slow. Because what if in the middle of the day you needed that encouragement? And the pains that you've gone through, speak yourself out of it. From everything that you've ever gone through, speak yourself out of it. From every rejection that you've experienced, speak yourself out of it. Encourage yourself. Tell yourself that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because we needed to go through that to get to here. That doesn't matter because I learned a lesson that now I'm wiser here. It doesn't matter because I may have failed here, but now I'm going to be a success story here. It doesn't matter because I needed to mature. I needed to go through this in order to become the mature individual I am now. It doesn't matter what has happened in my past because my past doesn't define me. What defines me is the habits and the traits of what I'm going to create today. Because you could have been a success story yesterday and become a failure in the future. It's all about what you're choosing to do with your time. So I leave you with this. Are you going to start encouraging yourself more? Are you going to start believing in yourself more? Are you going to start understanding that you are an amazing creation placed on this earth, that when God formed you in your mother's womb, he saw a masterpiece? Are you going to begin to accept that masterpiece that's here in the moment of time? That's alive and well in this season that we are in? That's a lot more blessed than a lot of people in this world because you had to have a smartphone in order to access this video. I don't care what your circumstance looks like. What I care is what your mind looks like. If you change your mind, you could change any part of your circumstance. I'm going to leave you with this. Earl Nightingale, one of the best motivational speakers that I've ever listened to in my life. He's like from the 50s. And he said, the difference between an animal and a human their skin, the certain parts of an animal that are meant to just blend in with their environment. A human being was not designed to camouflage. A human being was given something called attitude. And attitude is what shifts the environment. So instead of us becoming succumbed by the environment, becoming a part of the environment, we are designed to shift our environment. So if our environment does not align to where we want to be, then we have the ability to shift out of it and create the environment that we desire to experience. If you grew up in poverty, that doesn't mean that you're destined for poverty. It just means that you need to shift your attitude out of poverty. And maybe your family didn't do it, but you're about to do it. If you grew up in trauma and hurt and abuse and all these things, it doesn't mean that that's going to be your future. It just means that you need to shift yourself out of that environment. And it starts with the shifting of attitude. And your attitude is going to be based off of the conversation you're having with yourself. And if you're somebody who battles being confident, just start with encouraging yourself. If you see nothing about yourself that you can encourage yourself with, then start telling yourself, hey, we're going to do this. We may not have all the answers, but we're going to do this. And we're going to do great things. We may have not done anything great yet, but we are going to. Start with that. Start with wishful, hopeful words. If you can't encourage yourself of anything that you've already accomplished, then start with hopeful words that we are going to accomplish great things. If you can't see anything to be proud of yourself, you can be proud of yourself already, you would understand that this conversation you're having with yourself isn't even reliable, because there's a lot of things to be encouraged about as opposed to discouraged. So begin to speak into yourself in the sense of, we are going to do great things. We are here on earth, in this moment, in this time, in this country, in this city, for a reason, and we are going to accomplish. You're broke, and look at you, you're ugly, and look at you, you're fat, and look at you, you're worthless, and look at you, you're a loser. You say, I am doing great things. It's going to begin to do away with everything else that's a lie. Pay attention to that. Start speaking that into your life. Because it pains my heart to know that majority of people are speaking the opposite. So many people are just saying, I'm worthless, I'm a loser. Doing great things. And when you begin to do great things, you'll begin to say things, and you'll begin to become great things, and everything will align with it. But as long as you are in miserable depression, then of course your health is going to decline, and your weight's going to be out of whack, and you're personally going to look horrible because you're not working on the personal care necessary, and all these things are going to come from that. But you are a product of what you've allowed yourself to become. So the beauty of that is your future is a product of what you start thinking right now. I don't always have 45 minutes to spare like this, but today I just felt led to do it. I will be doing more. I downloaded TikTok. I'm still kind of figuring it out. If you guys are interested in health and mindset coaching, send me a message. I'm doing 12-week programs, super dope stuff. We have payment plans, all of the above. But the key thing is, this is your summer, and I want you to understand that it's your summer. And if you connected with anything I said, send me a message. I love to get feedback on how these videos impacted you. All right? God bless you so much. I appreciate you.